السيدات والسادة، حياكم الله مجددا في جلسات اليوم الثاني من منتدى جدة الاقتصادي. لا نزال نتناقش حول العنوان الكبير الأولويات الإقليمية. جلستنا الثالثة عنوانها إحداث تغيير في ريادة الأعمال، وأستضيف في هذه الجلسة 4 شخصيات. أولاً أبدأ من يميني السيد جيمس كان، وهو شخصية إعلامية، مؤسس والرئيس التنفيذي في دراغنرز دين هاملتون برادشو. ثم بعد ذلك السيدة ليندا روتبرغ، مؤسس وشريك ومدير تنفيذي في أندوفر العالمية. بعد ذلك السيد حبيب حداد، المدير التنفيذي لوامدا ومؤسس موقع ياملي.com ومواقع تفاعلية أخرى. ثم سمو الأمير الدكتور تركي بن سعود محمد آل سعود، نائب رئيس معهد الأبحاث في مدينة الملك عبدالعزيز للعلوم والتكنولوجيا. قبل أن نبدأ سأترك 10 دقائق لكل متحدث من المتحدثين. There is a translator, you can find it close to you if you would like to. There is even Chinese language if you would like. سأترك 10 دقائق لكل متحدث من المتحدثين. أبدأ في البداية بفيلم قصير عن السيد جيمس كان، ثم كلمة السيد جيمس.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm absolutely delighted to be back here in Jeddah. I was only here very recently, a few years ago, when I had the honor of conducting my Hajj pilgrimage here with my family. Just in terms of starting, what I wanted to do was maybe share with you a little bit about my background. Some people in the UK classify me as a serial entrepreneur, somebody who has started many different businesses. One of the main companies that I founded was a global human resources company called Alexander Mann, where, like a lot of entrepreneurs, I had an idea and a vision to build a business and created a business from a very small office, like a broom cupboard, and I grew that organization to 400 million in revenues over a period of time. I then sold the company and realized the capital from that company and started a private equity firm called Hamilton Bradshaw, a private equity firm that was based to engender and inspire other entrepreneurs to build their businesses. The company, in the last 5 years, my private equity firm, has backed nearly 40 different businesses with a combined revenue of 650 million in sterling. A lot of people recognize me from a TV show on BBC called Dragon's Den, which is a program designed to attract, inspire, and engender entrepreneurialism through the idea where people come with their business ideas on national television, pitch an idea for investors like me to invest in their business. Recently, I founded something called the EBA, which is the Entrepreneurs Business Academy, which is an organization in the United Kingdom which is designed to train, mentor, and engender entrepreneurial spirit throughout the UK. Saudi Arabia, to me, is clearly one of the largest countries in the region and one of the most influential countries in the world, led by the pragmatic and wise King Abdullah. There's no doubt to me that Saudi Arabia is growing at a rapid pace to become one of the leading business hubs in the entire Middle East and the North African region. I think it's quite useful to know that the Saudi economic background, this is unmistakably reflected by Saudi's GDP last year, which grew nearly 6.8% of revenues, which added nearly 129 billion in additional revenues. The GDP forecast for this year is to grow at 4%, which, if you put this into context in Europe, most economies would be glad to grow by 1%, and a lot of them probably will shrink this year. It's fairly obvious that 55% of Saudi's GDP comes from oil and gas. I think for me, when I was looking to come to Jeddah for this conference, one of the things that really concerned me was simply the concept of how do you engender entrepreneurial spirit. If you look at the current population here, we have 28.5 million people. And the thing that's quite interesting is this is growing by 3.5% per year, which means we're adding nearly 1 million people every year to our population. 60% of the population is at the age of 30 and below, and 40% of those under the age of 30, between the age of 20 and 24, we're seeing nearly 30 to 40% unemployment, which is one of the key issues that I think entrepreneurialism can actually make a difference in. The major issue facing this region, as it is with the rest of the world, is a lot of people entering this workforce are finding it extremely difficult to find opportunities. If you look at the number of jobs we actually have, there are 8.2 million jobs in this country, of which 6.9 million of these jobs exist in the private sector. This is a very healthy comparison to the rest of the world, but the one staggering piece of information that I found was that 9 out of 10 of the 6.9 million private sector jobs actually go to foreigners. On the other hand, you have a smaller number of jobs which only equate to 2.5 million, where nearly 9 out of 10 Saudis essentially work in the private sector. This is not, in my opinion, as an entrepreneur, something that can be sustainable. We have to ask ourselves why so many Saudis prefer to work in the public sector. For Saudi to build a long-term future, it needs to develop its SME market. After all, if you look at the shocking statistic, only 17% of the total workforce by indigenous Saudis only exists. 17%, when you look at where the country is going. In order to sustain the private sector economy, we absolutely need to increase local Saudis to build businesses. If you look at some of the statistics from the World Economic Forum, the extraordinary population growth in the Middle East means by 2020, this region needs to grow nearly 75 million jobs just to sustain the current level of employment. That is an increase of 40% from now. But with unemployment already running in many of the countries in this region, the need to create jobs has become a desperate activity. However, the Saudi Arabian government has already realized the challenge that this is facing, and recognizing in order to make this happen, they've made a commitment that by the year 2014 to create an additional 1.3 million jobs. This is principally by introducing the concept of Saudization, which is basically restricting foreigners in private sector jobs to enable the locals to participate. What's more important, that the basis of creating these jobs are already here in Saudi Arabia. 92% of all businesses in Saudi Arabia are small to medium-sized businesses and account for nearly 80% of the total workforce. This is absolutely fantastic, but the question here is, what we need in Saudi is to actually get our older businesses to grow and actually start new businesses. To me, one of the most important features of entrepreneurial and culture is preparing Saudis for the workplace, and something which for me is very close to my heart. The key issue for here is education. I was delighted to see that His Royal Highness King Abdullah is recently committing an education budget of nearly 40 billion a year that is probably one of the largest education budgets in the region. For me, the only issue that creates, and the question that I pose, is whether Saudis are achieving the right degrees for the workplace. One of the main reasons why Saudis do not work more widely in the private sector is due to the fact that nearly 40% of the degrees that they receive when they come out of universities are principally in humanities and the arts. The challenge this is causing is that most of the people who subsequently come out of university are clearly not prepared for the workplace. We need to get more people to be qualifying in degrees that are relevant for the current economy that this country has. I passionately believe that education needs to be correlated with where the economy is. There's no point in generating a huge amount of graduates that do not therefore correlate with actually the employment demands of the private sector. I think for me, the key issue here is this region needs to reclaim the entrepreneurial culture. Reclaiming its entrepreneurial culture, entrepreneurialism was actually embraced by the West. But when you look at it, this DNA actually existed in this region. The trading mentality literally goes back thousands of years, almost since the time of the Prophet Mohammed, peace be upon him. Recently, the announcement of the Kingdom Tower, which is now going to be one of the tallest buildings in the world, there's no greater evidence of the reclamation and the sense of national pride that this was rightly pronounced by bin al-Walid bin Talib. The decision of the partners to build the world's tallest building further demonstrates the belief investing in this nation. So let's look at ways of how can we actually introduce the concept of entrepreneurship in this region. One of the things that happened recently in the United Kingdom is we also recognize that we have a very similar problem in the United Kingdom. We need to create jobs. And one of the things that we decided where we need to start is to encourage young people to engender the culture of business. And we launched a very interesting campaign where we were introducing the idea of giving children £10 to go out and make a profit. 40,000 young people entered this competition, and the youngest person took the £10 and created £750. So I think one of the things we need to do is begin at the youth, start with schools, then universities, then develop a venture capital community. It's great to encourage entrepreneurship, but at the same time, we have to give them capital in order to build their businesses. One of the businesses that I've invested myself is a business that's focusing on this region, a company called 90 North that I recently backed as an entrepreneurial business to bring opportunities to the Middle Eastern investor by identifying iconic real estate in the United Kingdom and providing that as an opportunity in partnership with Middle Eastern companies. The success really is based on partnerships from the very beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Have a great afternoon.
شكرا جزيلا للسيد جيمس كان. الآن الحديث للسيدة ليندا روتنبرغ.
It's wonderful to be here. I was in Riyadh almost exactly a year ago, and a number of friends told me that until I had been to Jeddah, I could not say that I'd really been to Saudi Arabia. So I'm happy to be here. So 15 years ago, I co-founded an organization called Endeavor. And our mission was to lead the high-impact entrepreneurship movement around the world. Now, today, high-impact entrepreneurs and emerging markets sounds rather obvious. But 15 years ago, people said it was an oxymoron. In fact, looking back, there were not even words in Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, Turkish to describe the activity of being an entrepreneur. Today, you have Riyada, you have emprendedor and emprendedorismo. But 15 years ago, looking back, this idea was seemingly crazy. Now, and in fact, I was called crazy by a number of people, but my philosophy is that crazy is a compliment. And what I actually tell young entrepreneurs that I meet is if you're not called crazy, then you're probably not thinking big enough. So at Endeavor, we had two controversial theories of change. First, we said that not all entrepreneurs are created equal. And it's wonderful, all the work in microfinance with micro-entrepreneurs. It's wonderful, all of the SME support groups. But at Endeavor, we wanted to look for a very special kind of entrepreneur, what we called high impact, and look at the few who really could move the needle by creating hundreds, if not thousands of jobs, generating millions of dollars in revenues, and really innovating in their industry, and as a byproduct, becoming sources of inspiration and role models for younger people. So just to give you a sense, in the last 15 years, we've screened 30,000 companies in emerging markets around the world, and we've just selected 600 entrepreneurs from 400 companies. People have said that it's harder to get into Endeavor than it is to get into Harvard. And for that, we were called by many, including my good friend Habib here, elitist. And I should say, by the way, what Habib and WAMDA and the Bradshaw are doing is truly incredible. And I think that what I love about what Habib is doing and what other platforms are doing are really scaling entrepreneurship to a great number of people. But what we said is there is a role for an organization, and Endeavor could play that role, of finding those entrepreneurs who move the needle. Okay, I'll come back to what we found. Our second controversial theory was that we disagreed with the World Bank's Doing Business report that said the biggest barriers to entrepreneurship were structural and they were regulatory. So for example, they like to cite that the biggest way you can tell whether a country is entrepreneurial is the number of days it takes to start a business. And we said, I'm sorry, but the entrepreneurs we've seen, it doesn't matter whether it's 3 days or 30 or 130 to start a business. They'll find a way around that. What was preventing entrepreneurs from thinking really big was a lack of mentors, a lack of role models who seemed like them, a lack of social capital. What we also said is venture capital is very important, but there's a lot of capital in these markets. There's a lot of talent in these markets. The problem was there wasn't a lot of trust, so they weren't finding one another. So these were our two theories, that if you could create a network effect like Silicon Valley, that was the way to spread entrepreneurs. And then afterwards, you could have the regulatory reforms and you could have the structural changes. But it all starts with the individuals and the stories. So 15 years later, here's where we are. I mentioned we'd screened 30,000 companies and selected 400 of them. Last year, the Endeavor entrepreneurs generated $5 billion in revenues and 180,000 jobs. 2/3 of the revenues and 3/4 of the jobs come after their engagement with Endeavor. So what we've really tried to do is get data on what makes a high-impact entrepreneur, how can you identify the characteristics that they're going to succeed, and what are the supports that make a difference. And one of the supports, I will tell you, mentorship is the key ingredient, really above all else. When entrepreneurs talk to us, they say even more than the capital that they get, someone who helped them think big and who will believe in their crazy idea is what motivated them to go forward. So we are also, I should say, we're operating now in 15 countries throughout Latin America, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Here in the Middle East, we have offices in Istanbul, Amman, Cairo, Beirut, Dubai, and we are about to launch in the next month Endeavor Saudi Arabia, and we will be either based in Jeddah or Riyadh, so many of you can come lobby afterwards. But here's what we found. First, our theory was right. High-impact entrepreneurs do move the needle. So Endeavor co-sponsored a report with Stanford Business School and the World Economic Forum last year. We looked at 380,000 companies across 10 markets. And what we found was that 72% of the revenues and 66% of the jobs came from just 5% of the entrepreneurs. What Endeavor's found in its own case is that those who were described as high impact also were 8 times more likely to mentor others and pay it forward, and 4 times more likely to be cited as sources of inspiration. And this gets into the second part. And by the way, these companies are in every industry. It's not just high tech. We've seen high-impact companies in retail, consumer goods, healthcare, financial services, education, as well as the ICT sector. And also, it's not just radical innovations. We have a term called Minovate, mini innovations. Just to give you an example, we had a company we found in Brazil that had decided that they wanted to do healthy fast food pasta. And they would actually cook the pasta in front of you, and you could choose your sauce. You know, not a radical concept. incredibly well executed. 8 years later, it generates $150 million in revenue and employs 5,000 people. But what we also found was getting to the macro level. So how do these individual stories translate? And I was just in Silicon Valley 2 weeks ago, and you often hear of what's called the PayPal mafia. And if you've ever been on Sand Hill Road, you know, it's not that obvious that this is the place where entrepreneurs would start. I'm from New York. That would seem a more logical place. There's a lot of population, a lot of creativity. But on Sand Hill Road, it's really just kind of a series of strip malls. But what happens is entrepreneurs sit in cafes, they all send their business plans to one another, and this company called PayPal ended up selling to eBay, but more importantly, its founders and founding team went on to found companies like LinkedIn, YouTube, Tesla, which is a biotech company, and also the guys, Elon is doing space exploration. So they've gone on to mentor and invest in the next generation. And we wanted to see if that was similar in other countries. So in the last month, we've looked at the case of Argentina, where Endeavor started. Now, Argentina in the last 10 years has gone through a 66% devaluation of its peso. Their government has had many sort of transitions and crises, and Argentina is actually reported as one of the more corrupt Latin American countries. So it's not really the obvious place where entrepreneurship should thrive. But Google chose to have its third international office outside of Silicon Valley in Buenos Aires. Yahoo and Facebook followed. Today, we see hundreds of venture capital firms and angel investments starting out in Latin America. And we want to know why. So we interviewed 200 startup tech companies. We hadn't met them. And we said 4 questions. 1, who were your sources of inspiration? Who were role models? 2, who actually mentored you? 3, who invested in you? And 4, did you work before in an entrepreneurial company? We mapped it back, and what you could see was about 10 companies had their circles that were very large. They had impacted the rest of the companies. A number of them we had selected in Endeavor, and others had grown up themselves. What happened was interesting. When you looked at the density of networks, mentorship, networks, investment, and role models, it's very dense now in Argentina. But if you go back and take away the 10 most cited companies, the network virtually disappears. 3 weeks ago in Bloomberg, they reported the top 10 cities to be an entrepreneur. Amman, Jordan was listed among them, and 5 of the cities are in the United States, and Amman was one of the 5 international cities. And a lot of people said, why? What's happening there? And when you look at it, again, you see stories like Habib and my good friend Fadi Khandor, who took Aramex public on the NASDAQ and then in the UAE. You have Sami Tukan, mentored by Fadi, who started Maktub that sold to Yahoo. Sami is now an angel investor mentoring. So now we see Endeavor has been active in Jordan for 5 years. Every kid growing up wants to be a Fadi or a Habib. And now they're investing and mentoring in one another. And the last report I saw that also just came out was from Gallup, said that Qatar is one of the most entrepreneurial environments. And they also asked 4 questions. And where the people from Qatar said they scored high were, first of all, third, I think, said they wanted to be an entrepreneur in the next 12 months. 74% said they trusted someone beyond their family to be a partner in their venture. 2/3 thought they could get mentorship from someone else, from a business leader. And many of them also thought they could get investments. So I think that what we've seen, just to end, is that it's really this network effect that engenders a multiplier effect. You start with the role models, you tell their stories, you encourage them to be mentors and to invest in the next generation, and that cycle repeats itself. And entrepreneurship at the end is actually a very city-based phenomenon. You can have companies that go global, that go regional, but I think that it really starts in concentrated environments where people can walk into cafes and share their ideas and support one another. And we're truly excited with what we've seen in the Middle East, that there's just this explosion in the entrepreneurial spirit. And we're also seeing finally VC firms starting here in the region. And I can't wait to launch Endeavor in Saudi Arabia. We see the talent, we see all the industry potential, And I look forward to coming back, hopefully, and sharing some of the local stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. شكرا للسيدة ليندا. الحديث الآن للأستاذ حبيب حداد.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda, as well. So I was in Jeddah yesterday, and we met some entrepreneurs at Kaus University and also here at the Hilton. And I was really impressed by the hunger and the passion of those entrepreneurs actually moving forward. Before maybe I move, I just want to pull a plug for a friend that I met actually yesterday. Now I call her a friend. It's a lady based in Jeddah. She started a company called Naqa, and she was sharing with me her frustration in being able to get clients because they're a startup and because they're a group of ladies starting this company. So I think she's here in the audience, and I encourage every one of you who wants environmental work to just go talk to her after the break. But going back to entrepreneurship topic, entrepreneurship has always been important. You know, it's how every institution, every government was formed, but it's growing in importance in our age. The reason for that are the market changes, but most importantly, the high unemployment rate. We have a huge high unemployment rate, youth unemployment rate in the region, and we have a large number of youth. As you know, more than 65% of Saudis are under the age of 30. So how can we activate this entrepreneurship ecosystem is something that I've been thinking a lot about. So in the next 10 years, just to give you some numbers, we need to create 75 million jobs. That's, you know, twice the number of jobs that the US created in the best 8 years in the Clinton era. So traditionally, the Arab world was trying to solve this by importing brand names, by importing universities, experts, consultants, and coming up with a top-down approach. And that's really not a recipe for disaster. This will never work. The best ecosystems are the ones that come up bottom-up. So we need to think about how can we instill this entrepreneurship mindset, not only for entrepreneurs, but also for government leaders, for public sector, private sector, and they all have to come work together to kind of allow this bottom-up approach to work. At WAMDA, we've been experimenting in how we can activate this ecosystem and how we can tap on every single part of those channels. And we've identified 4 channels. There are the personal enablers, and those are anything that basically relate to the individual, from education, from mentorship. You know, Endeavor is an amazing example, and we're actually trying to copy that model, but not just for high-impact entrepreneurs, for everyone else. We try to filter them so that Linda can take them and become high-impact. So this is something important, and we see this a big lack in the region. There's 2 reasons for that. A, the ecosystem has not yet matured. So once you have the Fadi Ghandours, the Samih Touqans, and many more of those, hopefully, these will come back and become mentors. But until then, we have to leapfrog. And the way we're trying to do that is we're trying to bring in the diaspora network. Let's not forget how strong and how powerful our diaspora is. We can use this diaspora to give back to the community when the mentorship needs highly skilled and highly niched expertise, for example, web or mobile technologies. So that's the first one, person enablers. The second one is financial enablers. And financial enablers is really comes anywhere from banks, loans, to microfinance, to governments, and to VCs. And I think one of the problems here, the good and the bad thing. So the good thing is, our region is wealthy and it will continue to be wealthy for the next few years. You all know those numbers, but the Gulf sits on 65% of the oil reserves of the world, only produces 25% of them. So monetary perspective, we're set. However, is that money really trickling down to the entrepreneurs in a good way? And I think here the answer is no. Sometimes it goes down to the entrepreneurs as free money, and that actually dampens and kills entrepreneurship spirit. And sometimes it comes in direct investments from the government to the entrepreneurs. And that's actually bad because it always comes with conditions and policies around them that also kills the entrepreneurship spirit. So really, I think here the private sector and the VC specifically sector is something that is really poised to moving that. So financial enablers, number 2. Number 3 is business enablers, and those are the incubators. Again, the diaspora networks, incubators, you have a successful example like Oasis 500 in Jordan, Sequence in Lebanon. So Oasis 500, what they do is a program where they bring in entrepreneurs for a 3-month program, they teach them, and then they graduate to go to investors. And then the fourth thing is environmental enabler. And this is where the policy, regulatory frameworks, and again, I totally agree with Linda that really entrepreneurs don't care. And we see that actually because a lot of the times when we go and invest in entrepreneurs, we tell them, so where's your structure? I don't have a structure. What, you didn't start a company? No. Okay, let's start a company. So a lot of the entrepreneurs find an idea. They are someone qualified by people who think that the status quo sucks and decide to do something about it. And often the status quo has a business value out of it. So they go, they change that, and there's a startup that comes out of it. But they don't think about all the rest around that. I think perhaps one of the problems I see in the policies are the liquidation of the company. The reason is because it plays back a role on the culture. So liquidation, to liquidate the company, it takes about 4 years. And that also plays in the mentality of people thinking that failure is a bad thing, and people have this fear of failure. In fact, you know that saying that says, behind every great man there's a great woman. I think in the Arab world, behind every great Arab entrepreneur there's a great Arab mother who thinks that his son or her daughter has actually it's crazy to have left his safe jobs to go open a company. So this gives you an idea of how the family, the culture is not yet supportive. But the good solution is that we can solve that. How? By press, by education, and by really changing the mindset. Again, it goes back to the mindset. So what do we do at WAMDA? We are an ecosystem of our own, more or less. So we have a press arm, a media arm, and we cover stories on WAMDA on our website, daily stories that inspire the youth, at the same time educate them. So you can go there, you can find a story about an e-commerce site in Riyadh that we talked about not long ago. This great entrepreneur running a company called Saud. I met him there, and he was one of the most impressive entrepreneurs, starting his company, paying himself under $1,000 for the past 2 years to run this company, so really sacrificing to move on that. We cover the stories so that others can get inspired, and we also cover educational stories, how to market your company on the cheap, how to hire, because hiring is also a big problem. We also have our fund, so we invest early stage amounts, so amounts of a couple of $100,000, any range from $50,000 up to $750,000, and we invest here in companies where we can add value to. And so far, we've invested in 4 companies all across the Arab world in the past 4 months, and we're very fast. And that's also basically an advice and a request from fellow angel investors in the room. Whenever you're investing in an entrepreneur, don't take too long and don't drag them, because what happens is they run out of cash or they go to someone else. And entrepreneurs are really about moving very fast. Basically, we'd never look at financials and projections and all of that at the early stage, because going back to the PayPal example, PayPal started by being a cryptography for phones. Then it became a mobile payment. Then it became an online payment, and how it was actually by luck, but not by complete luck, is by curated luck, by serendipity that was actually created. And really the best systems in the world, the best mindsets are the ones who have conditions but are loose enough to allow surprises to happen on its boundaries. And this is, how we should run our companies. What we call as brilliant mistakes is what, allowed Google to come up with Google Maps, is what allowed WAMDA to come up with our 3rd product, which is called a WAMDA card we're launching. So again, we have the media arm, we have the fund where we direct invest, and our product is where we scale our impact. So we came up with an idea that is a WAMDA card that will be given to entrepreneurs. And on the other side, we go talk to the private sector. And we lobby the private sector to give us discounts and offers that we can give back to entrepreneurs that will make their life easier. For example, discounts on hotels, airlines for their travel, office space, licensing. We got a discount on licensing in Dubai, for example, to lawyers, to online advertising. And this is our way to kind of bring the private sector and slowly engage them with the entrepreneurs. So that's kind of what we're creating in our own ecosystem in WAMDA. But in general, I think the approach that we should take in moving this entrepreneurship ecosystem is by not doing excessive planning. In fact, managing and setting up complex systems, planning for those, is much more time consuming and much more expensive than actually doing them. So I think the Arab world needs to get less leaders and more doers, in my opinion. We need to know that comfortable zones will not get comfortable in the long run. So we need to push ourselves, our people, our community to go outside of our comfort zone. And most importantly, we should, as we do, I would say in Arabic, we should yalla start up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haddad. شكرا جزيلا. الآن ننتقل إلى سمو الأمير الدكتور تركي بن سعود محمد، نائب رئيس مدينة الملك عبد العزيز للعلوم والتقنية.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. سوف أتحدث ولو أني حضرت العرض باللغة الإنجليزية، بس يمكن هذا مفيد للمشاركين، ولكن أحاول أن أشرح هذا باللغة العربية. سوف أتحدث عن ريادة الأعمال واقتصاد المعرفة. فعندما ننظر لمستوى المملكة حسب دراسة البنك الدولي، نجد أن المملكة في منتصف الطريق في ما يخص اقتصاد المعرفة، ولدينا طريق طويل يجب أن نسلكه حتى نرتقي إن شاء الله باقتصاد المملكة حتى يصبح اقتصاد معرفي. فالاقتصاد المعرفي يتسم ب higher growth أو النمو عالي، إنتاجية عالية، وأيضاً ما يسمى faster recoveries إذا كان هناك انعكاسات اقتصادية، العودة بسرعة، والقدرة على التوظيف بشكل دائم. فمن النجاحات التي نقتدي بها هي ساوث كوريا. ساوث كوريا استطاعت في فترة وجيزة خلال عقدين من الزمن أن تنتقل من اقتصاد بحيث دخل الشخص في حدود مثلا في عام 85 في حدود 2000 دولار إلى أكثر من 20,000 دولار خلال عقدين من الزمن، واقتصاد مبني على المعرفة. ففكرة أن المملكة تتبنى هذا النهج وتستطيع أن تحقق هذا الانتقال خلال عقدين من الزمن هذا ممكن. وعندما ننظر للاقتصاد المبني على المعرفة نجد أن هناك أسس رئيسية. لابد أن يكون هناك سياسة، لابد أن يكون هناك منظومة للابتكار، وأن يكون هناك تعليم متقدم، وأن يكون هناك بنية تحتية معلوماتية متوفرة. لهذا تبنت المملكة سياسة للعلوم والتقنية وخطط لتنفيذ هذه السياسة للارتقاء بالاقتصاد حتى يكون إن شاء الله في نهاية هذه المرحلة اقتصاد مبني على المعرفة. فخطة العلوم والتقنية والابتكار في نهاية الخطة الأولى والتي انتهت في عام 2010 يكون هناك اكتمال للبنية التحتية، وفي الخطة الثانية تنتهي في عام 2015 تكون المملكة رائدة في المنطقة في العلوم والتقنية والابتكار. والخطة الخمسية الثالثة في عام 2020 تكون المملكة رائدة على مستوى آسيا. وفي انتهاء الخطة في 2025 تكون المملكة دولة تعتمد على اقتصاد معرفي. فنجد أن كل العناصر تتفق في هذه الخطة. الخطة تنظر إلى منظومة، بناء منظومة، وأنا سمعت من الزملاء التركيز على جوانب معينة. المملكة في حاجة إلى بناء منظومة متكاملة، لأننا نخطط إلى المستقبل وليس ننظر إلى مرحلة آنية ومساعدة شخص أو شخصين. عمل يتم على مستوى البلد، يتم بشكل مستدام، يجب أن تكون هناك منظومة متكاملة. فالمنظومة فيها طبعاً القوانين والأنظمة الاجتماعية، الجامعات والتعليم بشكل عام ومراكز الأبحاث، التركيز على القوى البشرية، وأيضاً على جوانب التمويل، والتركيز طبعاً على ريادة الأعمال Entrepreneurship، على الابتكار Innovation، وعلى حاضنات التقنية الانكوبيشن. يجب أن ننتقل الآن نرى الوضع الذي نحن فيه غير مرضي من ناحية ليس هناك حتى بالتوسع الكبير في مجال التعليم نسبة الحاصلين على الدكتوراه لمقارنة بالجهات الأخرى ما زالت متأخرة. بالنسبة للاقتصاد يعتمد بشكل كبير على البترول، وأيضاً براءات الاختراع في حاجة إلى أن تنتقل بشكل كبير عما هي عليه الآن. فمنظومة العلوم والتقنية والابتكار NSTIP Framework تنظر لديها 8 برامج رئيسية: القوانين Regulations، الدعم المالي، الموارد البشرية، التقنيات الاستراتيجية، نقل التقنية، البحث والتطوير، بناء قدرات البحث والتطوير، البنية التحتية والإدارة. وأيضاً هي تشمل جميع القطاعات، قطاعات الحكومة، قطاعات مراكز البحث والتعليم، والقطاع الخاص، وكذلك المجتمع. وكل هذه المجالات مدعومة من خلال الخطة، ونرى نتائج سريعة بعد تنفيذ الخطة. في عام 2007 في المدينة و2008 في الجهات الأخرى أن هناك التعاون بين الجامعات والصناعة ارتقى إلى مستوى أعلى، وأهم مؤشر هو نشر البحث العلمي مقارنة بدول المنطقة. هناك قفزة كبيرة جدا ومستمرة، بحيث أن المملكة سوف تقود المنطقة في النشر العلمي، وهذا خلال فقط السنوات الثلاث الماضية. أيضاً في مجال حاضنات التقنية هناك برنامج وطني يسمى بادر لحاضنات التقنية، وهناك سياسة لحاضنات التقنية اعتمدت من المقام السامي، والهدف أن يكون هناك 20 حاضنة في عام 2015، وفي نهاية الخطة في عام 2025 يكون هناك 80 حاضنة في شتى المجالات وفي كل مناطق المملكة. الآن هناك عدد من الحاضنات أنشئت من خلال بادر، حاضنات وطنية مثل بادر ICT لتقنية المعلومات، وبادر بايو للتقنية الحيوية، وبادر Advanced Manufacturing للتصنيع المتقدم، وكذلك إنشاء حاضنات في عدد من الجامعات وبالتعاون مع الغرف التجارية في بعض مناطق المملكة، خصوصا المنطقة الغربية والشرقية. فبالنسبة لبادر، وهذا البرنامج بدأ قبل 4 سنوات، هناك الآن 54 شركة محتضنة، وتم تخريج شركتين قبل كم شهر، إحداها دخل حوالي 20 الشخص يدخل حوالي 20 مليون ريال في السنة، وهو إن شاء الله سوف يتوسع في هذا المجال. فحاضنات التقنية هي وسيلة جيدة لتجسير الفجوة بين البحث العلمي والصناعة، وهذا تتجه له المملكة بشكل كبير، وسوف أتكلم عن شركة تقنية والتي هي معنية بتجسير هذه الفجوة بشكل كبير. أيضاً مدينة الملك عبدالعزيز لديها مبادرات في مجال ريادة الأعمال. فنبدأ بالأنظمة والقوانين. رفعت المدينة بدراسة للمجلس الاقتصادي الأعلى، وهي تدرس الآن في هيئة الخبراء لتعديل كثير من الأنظمة والقوانين التي تعيق الانتربرنورشيب وبناء الشركات التقنية، وتحسن إن شاء الله هذه التعديلات من البيئة الضرورية لتنمية هذه الصناعة في المملكة. أيضاً هناك رأس مال لريادة الأعمال تعمل عليه المدينة، وهناك برامج لريادة الأعمال تقوم بها المدينة وتدعو مختصين مثل المتحدثين اليوم من شتى الجهات وخصوصاً من السيليكون فالي للمشاركة في بث هذه الروح، روح ريادة الأعمال في المجتمع السعودي. لدينا مؤتمر سنوي لحاضنات الأعمال وريادة الأعمال، ويدعى له المختصين من أنحاء العالم. وكذلك هناك ما يسمى بالبزنس بلانز، بزنس بلان كومبيتيشن، وخطط الأعمال، منافسة خطط الأعمال تمت من خلال برنامج بادر. وفي الختام هناك شركة تقنية، الشركة السعودية للاستثمار للتنمية والاستثمار التقني، يملكها صندوق الاستثمارات العامة بشكل كامل، وأنشئت بقرار من مجلس الوزراء. الهدف الرئيسي من هذه الشركة هي للاستثمار في البحوث سواء كانت في المدينة أو الجامعات أو المراكز البحثية، وسد الفجوة التي ذكرتها سابقاً بين البحث والصناعة. ونطمح إن شاء الله أن تقوم تقنية بإنشاء شركة متخصصة للفينشر كابيتال أو المال الجريء الذي سوف يساعد في إنشاء الشركات المتخصصة الصغيرة ودعم رواد الأعمال. شكراً لكم جميعاً.
شكرا جزيلا لسمو الأمير الدكتور تركي بن سعود بن محمد على هذه الورقة. الآن ننتقل إلى الأسئلة. وين المايكات يا شباب؟ رقم 2 ورقم 6 2 6 4. تفضل يا سيدي.
السلام عليكم. المهندس إبراهيم كردي، جمعية أصدقاء المجتمع. سمعنا الكثير واطلعنا على الكثير، وهناك الجهود الكبيرة والكثيرة في دعم ريادة الأعمال، ولكن أرى أن هذه الجهود مبعثرة. فأتمنى لو كانت هناك فكرة إيجاد هيئة عامة، هيئة وطنية عامة تكون هي المرجع الأول والسند الأكبر لهذه الفئة من الشباب والشابات، وهذه الهيئات تهيئ وتضع الاستراتيجية الكاملة بالتعاون والتنسيق مع جميع الجهات القائمة. وأتمنى أن يكون هناك رقم موحد كما سمعنا من معالي وزير العمل أن هناك بوابة إلكترونية موحدة. أتمنى أن يكون هناك رقم موحد يتصل الشاب أو الشابة به ليتمنى تحقيق ما يصبو إليه وما يحلم به في هذا المجال.
شكرا مهندس إبراهيم. رقم 6.
Dr. Susan Al-Qurashi, King Abdulaziz University. My question to Mr. James and Mrs. Linda: how to stimulate entrepreneurial practices in Saudi public sectors? Thank you.
شكرا دكتورة. رقم 4.
Mohammed Ashkar, a recent graduate in innovation management and a young professional in the Islamic Development Bank. My question is for Linda, which is basically how could Endeavor identify highly impact entrepreneurs from an early stage? And also, how could Endeavor sustain an attractive profit considering the time that it takes for these companies to go into IPO stage? Thanks.
رقم 3.
It's Nigel Cumberland again. Question about Saudiization and entrepreneurial, the side. Could it be that in Saudi Arabia, we encourage foreign entrepreneurs to come here? Now, I'm based in Dubai. I was in China before running companies and selling. I've come here, and it's a bit off-putting, the rules on ownership of businesses and things. So perhaps Saudiization could be focusing on employees, but in terms of inviting entrepreneurs to come to this country, perhaps give more freedoms to actually own outright businesses and to go into partnerships with young entrepreneurs here. Thank you.
رقم 4.
السلام عليكم. اسمي شرف الدباغ، أنا مستشار لبرنامج بادر. أوجه سؤالي لسمو الأمير. سمو الأمير، حقيقة في فوكس كبير على مسألة النولج بيس ايكونومي أو النولج بيس سيستم. حقيقة في المملكة العربية السعودية أنا أشوف إنه في immaturity فيما يخص الاي سي تي. فما أدري هل نوزع الفوكس ما بين knowledge based economy والventure sum economy أو الاقتصاد الريادي، لأنه كثير من الشباب والشابات في الريتيل بزنس، في الأجريكلتشر، في السؤال الثاني أوجهه لمستر خان. Mr. Khan, thank you very much for coming to Jeddah. I hope you are enjoying it. My question is regarding the priorities. How do you see, what do you think should the focus be? Should it be on venture, in terms of funding environment, should it be focused on venture capital or angel investment, knowing that the ecosystem is still immature in Saudi Arabia, you know, the exits, the startups, pre-startup, the seed up, the whole system. An exception is Badr, where they are setting up the first angel investment network in Saudi. So how do you see that happening? Mr. Habib, thank you for mentioning نقاء is incubated by
14 سؤال يا استاذ شرف.
أخير، شكرا.
تفضل. لا اسال خلاص عاد يوم وصلت للنص.
بس حبيت أشكر الأخ حبيب إنه منشن شركة نقاء هي الآن incubated في جدة. بشوف وجههم كل صباح في حاضنة بادر في جدة. شكرا.
الله يخليكم البعض. رقم 3.
Hello. Hi, the question to Mr. James Caan. Helmi Netto, an entrepreneur. You have met many successful entrepreneurs and you invested with them. Can I know the number one thing and the only thing you look for in a successful venture? Thank you.
طيب فيه أسئلة هنا. 6. رقم 6.
روان بعقيل. أنا كرائدة أعمال شابة لا أجد إنه في بصراحة إنه في احتضان للشباب رواد الأعمال بأفكارهم. أجد إنه أكثر المشاريع بتكون صناعية، المشاريع الأخرى ما بلاقي فيها أي اهتمام، فأرجو أنكم أنتم تجاوبوا على الشيء ده.
شكرا جزيلا. رقم 2.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
علي الفقيه. أعجبت بالمبادرات العديدة التي تقودها مدينة الملك عبد العزيز في مجال نشر ريادة الأعمال، سواء ما يخص السياسات والتشريعات أو ما يخص التمويل، إلا أنه في قضية هامة جدا اللي هي قضية الانتربرنورشيب إديوكيشن. أتمنى أن تقود مدينة الملك عبد العزيز لعلوم التقنية فعلا خلق استراتيجية وطنية للانتربرنورشيب إديوكيشن، لا سيما انه في ظل النقص الحاصل في هذه المعلومات في الإديوكيشن سيستم، الا انه اخر تقرير لمؤسسة صلتك اوضحت انه 25% من الشباب السعودي يخططون لبدء مشاريعهم الخاصة خلال 12 شهر القادمة، فما في هذا في ظل عدم وجود entrepreneurship education استراتيجي، فما بالكم لو كان هناك استراتيجية واضحة فعلا لنشر ثقافة ريادة الأعمال عبر أنشطة منظمة.
شكرا أستاذ علي. Mr. Khan, we'll start with you if you can within 3 minutes answer the questions.
Where should we kick off? Which question would you like to start with?
Let's start from the last one. Well, Mr. Dabbagh asked you about
what do I look for when I'm investing?
I'm sorry?
what do I look for when I'm investing in successful entrepreneurs? As you probably know, the TV show that we do in England by the BBC is called Dragon's Den. And in that show, I've seen nearly 1,000 entrepreneurs who come in with their great ideas, and in some cases, they're very crazy ideas. But the one thing I look for, and to me, what I think is absolutely essential, is entrepreneurship is not just about a good idea. Entrepreneurship is having the ability to successfully execute that idea. And I think when you're looking for people who are in business with passion, it's not just one component. You need to understand the entirety. And I think, as Linda mentioned, to me, part of the entrepreneurial journey is not just understanding the idea, but the execution, but who will actually help me along this journey. And understanding and identifying a mentor, to me, is as critical as the idea itself. So I think what we need to do is find ways that where we can educate young people who are passionate about business. But to me, since I've been in Saudi Arabia, one of the things that I've realized is there's a lot of debate about what the government should do. And any country in the world I go to, I think it's always the easiest target that we find where we get frustration. To me, I think actually success to develop entrepreneurship is sitting right here in this room. We are the best people to engender entrepreneurship. As Linda said, the best place to start is with people who've already done it themselves before. We are in a far better position to know who to back because we've done it ourselves. We know the pain of the journey. We know some of the challenges that it creates. I think if you look at the dynamics of the kingdom, economy within the SME market here is built up by substantial family businesses, large conglomerates. If each one of those family conglomerates identified a strategy to create jobs and to create entrepreneurship, and they themselves created a venture capital fund by leveraging their expertise, their knowledge, their distribution, their logistics, they could literally start between 50 to 100 businesses per family without question. If I, as one individual in the UK, can identify 40 companies and within a short space of time develop nearly $500 million of sales, you guys appear far smarter than me, you're much brighter than me, and you've got an opportunity here that I'm absolutely convinced that the journey begins here, not at the doors of government, because government are not experienced at running businesses, but we are. And therefore, I don't think, it's what can the country do for me, it's what can I do for the country. And I think what we should be doing is looking at ourselves and say, how can we drive this change? Entrepreneurs are some of the most resourceful people in the world. We believe in our own abilities and we believe we can make things happen. I think this is something that we should take on as individuals. We should champion this cause because we are best positioned and best resourced to make it happen.
Thank you so much. Linda.
These were great questions, so I'll try to address a few of them, taking off on what James said. So first of all, any venture capitalist will tell you that they would always prefer the A team with the B idea over the B team with the A idea. So people are at the heart of it. And in Endeavor's case, it's really interesting because we get locally, we screen hundreds of companies a year, and 5 times a year we meet internationally. 3 weeks from now we'll be in Dubai, but have top US venture capitalists, Fortune 500 company CEOs, and local investors and business leaders. And they have to meet these entrepreneurs and then unanimously select them. And I always call this 12 Angry Men, because if you saw, occasionally a woman, if you saw the movie, one juror can sway everybody else or one can hold out. And what's so interesting is, like in the venture capital situation, we've gone back and we've analyzed the first round votes and the second round votes. And here's the interesting thing. So people who don't pass have nobody supporting the individual. They might like the idea, they might like the company. Often these are not just startups, often they're about $1 to $20 million in revenues. They've gotten off the ground, but it's a question of what can scale. So what doesn't pass is if people feel that obviously the market's not going anywhere, but really this individual just isn't worth backing. Interestingly, the ones that pass unanimously on the first round end up doing well, but not great. The companies we find, and again, venture capitalists will tell you the same thing, that do the best are those that had a passionate fight. So half the people think this idea is not going anywhere, this guy's crazy, this woman won't succeed, and one or two people are so convinced they'll put their time in, they'll mentor them, they'll agree to take them on their reins, and that I think is what we've learned is key, is if someone can inspire, as James said, some mentor to come in, that's where the magic happens. In Endeavor's case, we're actually founded as a nonprofit. We wanted, you mentioned the time it takes to IPO and the lack of exit strategies. So we wanted to be a neutral player that could help catalyze the ecosystem and be able to have patient capital. So the way we're sustainable, we start by raising money just from the private sector, and then our entrepreneurs are giving back. So locally, they're donating about $10,000 a year and 2% of any liquidity event they have to pay it forward for the next generation. And globally, we've just started a donor-based co-investment fund that will, on neutral terms, co-invest up to 10% of the deal, but the terms are set by the lead investor, and it's all neutral. But I think that we are going to have to find the capital markets exit strategies are obviously key for venture capital to really come in the region. Last two issues. One is education. So I'm a big believer that role models and case studies of success stories are the best way to learn. Harvard MBAs are not the best entrepreneurs. And like Habib said, oftentimes there's too much planning. And we interviewed our companies, and 70% of them said they'd never done a business plan. And in fact, the problem with some of the US MBAs in particular is they're over business planned. And agile development, which is a software tool, it shows that you've got to iterate, you've got to test in the market. And this gets into the fear of risk-taking and failure too. The more entrepreneurs can just do it. And so I think that when we talk about education, we want to give people the confidence, the tools, and some of the success stories, but not get them in the habit of over-planning. And then lastly, I think that it's incredible what I've heard. I was with the Chambers of Commerce earlier, and what we've heard today in terms of the plan for a knowledge-based economy and entrepreneurship. But I actually would disagree that this should be centralized. I think what's beautiful about what you're seeing up here, and we're just representative of some of the many initiatives out there, is this is grassroots and it's bubbling up. And if you look at these entrepreneurial economies, it's not one top-down organization that's thrived. It's these pockets of different people and different networks and different communities, and they reinforce one another, and they have to collaborate and share knowledge and ideas as we are. But I think it's fantastic that there's not a one-all solution.
Thank you so much. سيد حداد، قبل أن تبدأ أول مشروع بدأته، هل كان هو مشروع ياملي؟
نعم.
كم كان عمرك؟ كم كان عمر حضرتك؟
26.
كنت تتوقع هذا النجاح؟
بالحقيقة لا، بس في شغلة حكت عنها ليندا اللي هي الباشن، persistent flexibility. يعني وقت بلشت أنا يملي بلشت من بوسطن، ما جيت على المنطقة العربية. ليش؟ لأنه جيت تقدر أجيب فاندنج، وصل عن حيلا انجل انفستر ولا فينشر كابيتال، قالوا لي انترنت ما انترنت، انه كيف بدك تجيب مصاري، كيف بدك تكبر الشركة. طيب فاين، رحت على سيليكون فالي وجبت مصاري من اثنين دايسبورا نتورك، اثنين اصلهم لبناني، واحد اصله لبناني واحد اصله تركي. اخذنا الفاندنج تكون دقيق $125,000، وهذا الوحيد اخذناه. بتذكر على فتره من الايام وقت كان بعمل يملي اضطريت بيع كل الفرنشه تبعي، ما عاد عندي غير تخت. لحتى لدرجه مره انه ما كان حتى استنفتش اذا عندي شيء فورن كرنسي حتى اروح وصرفهم حتى اقدر اعيش هالجمعتين الجايين، لانه عارف انه جايين ديل بعد جمعتين رح يرجع يرد لنا مصاري. بقى البوينت الفكره هي بدي اقولها انا هون انه persistence flexibility كثير مهمه، والانتربرينورز دائما عندهم بيكونوا ريسورسفul، سو الكل اذا بتكب عليهم مصاري ما رح يمشي الحال. لازم يقدروا يتعذبوا، لازم يقدروا يفهموا الابس اند داونز. في سايكل بالانتربرينورشيب كثير مشهور، ببلش اول شيء uninformed optimism، يعني ما انك عارف حالك وين رايح، بس انت كثير واثق بحالك. تطلع الطلعه، توصل لفوق على راس الطلعه بصير عندك informed pessimism، سو انت عارف انه وصلت لدرجه ما عم يمشي الحال، وعارف حالك انه في كثير مشاكل عم تواجهها صعوبات. تنزل النزله، اخر النزله عندنا شغلتين، يا اما ما بيمشي الحال بكراش، بس الانتربرينورشيب والاجايل وادابت نرجع على الاول بنبلش، يا اما بنظبط المشكله نرجع نطلع ويصير هون انفورمد اوبتيميزم. سو طالما عارفين انه نحن بدنا نقطع بهالسايكل، وهالسايكل مجبور كل سنه بتقطع فيه، ما فينا نروح دغري هيك. دغري هون بنصير نفكر بقصص غير. مشان هيك نرجع هون نفكر بالاستراتيجيه، بنقول انه الاستراتيجيه هي ما لازم نكون شيء موحد، شيء سنترلايزد، بالعكس ديسنترلايزيشن هون شيء كثير مهم. لانه نحن اليوم اذا بنشوف مثلا ليندا انديفر، مش الجفرمنت الا تعرف تحت الانديفر، اكشلي ديسبايت ذا جفرمنت شيء عملت انديفر. سو الفكره هون انه نحن اذا بنخلي يكون في عندنا سيستم ما فيه ريد تيبس، بس نقدر نخلي الان جي اوز، نخلي الافكار انشيتيف يطلعوا حواليها. يمكن بنشوف يمكن بكاكس اذا بنسمع يمكن اهم الافكار يطلع من التلاميذ، يمكن التلاميذ هن بيطلع بافكارهم. واذا لو في عندنا هالطريقه برات الجامعات حتى على الجفرمنت، نخلي هول يطلع عندنا لحالهم تو بابل اب. هون انا بلاقي احسن طريقه تنمي الانتربرنورشيب. على البوينت تبع الفندنج، في عندنا انتربرنور التقيت فيه نحن هلا وي ار فينتشر كابيتال ان 4 months old in 4 we did a deal every month, so we expect to do 10 to 20 deals per year. شفت تعرفت على انتربرنور بالرياض، كنت بالجي سي اف، يمكن من اول انتربرنورز متعرف عليهم، كثير لوكي، كثير يعني ما همه حتى البريس، قاعد حاضر راسه بالشغل عم بيشتغل. طلبت منه بزنس بلان، قلت له اعطينا حل شيء بزنس بلان حتى تنبلش الدسكشن انه تنكون بارتنرز عليها. اخذ معه جماعتين، اعطانا بزنس بلان، يمكن كتب كلمتين. انا بالنسبه لي انا انبسطت، قلت والله برافو عليه. ليش؟ لانه ما عم بضيع وقت يكتب بزنس بلان، بضيع وقت يشتغل على البزنس. بتطلع على البزنس تبعه اليوم، بتروح على saletab.com، ببيع الكترونكس اونلاين، ايفونز وايبادز والكترونكس، يمكن من اول سايتس شايفهم بالمنطقه العربيه الالكترونكس. شخص بالرياض عملها وما همه مساعده الجفرمنت، ما همه مساعده حدا، حاط راسه بالشغل عم بيشتغل. هلا نحن شغلتنا كستيك هولدرز، كجفرمنت، كانفسترز، نلاقي هالانشيتيفز، نلاقي هالشراك ان امبليفاي ذم، نكبرهم. سو اذا في شيء عم بيمشي بالاردن، بلبنان، بالسعوديه، بنشوفه بنكبره على صعيد البلد وعلى صعيد المنطقه العربيه. سو هون نحن كثير مهم كمان مثل ما قلت اول شيء المايند سيت، ما يكون بس نحن همنا انه نكثر عدد انتربرنورز، بس كمان نكون عندنا انتربرنورشيب مايند سيت على كل النواحي، من المدرسه للشباب للجفرمنت والبرايفت سيكتور.
طيب لو طلبنا منك انك باختصار توجه نصيحه لشاب بده يبدا مشروع مشابه لمشروعك، يحتوي على العنصر الرئيسي اللي تحدثت عنه الست ليندا وهو الجنان، انه خارج الصندوق، فما هي النصيحه مختصره؟
اوكي، رح اعطي 4 نصائح اذا تسمح لي. اول شيء التيم كثير مهمه. كونوا يعني جد وحاصروا حالكم باشخاص اول شيء بتوثقوا فيهم، وثاني شيء بتحبوا تقعدوا معهم، لانه بالنهايه انتربرنورشيب رايد فيها 16 ساعه بالنهار. التيم كثير مهمه. منتورشيب، خلي عندكم حواليكم منتورز، ان كانوا ادفايزرز، ان كانوا توب نيمز، حاولوا قدروا خلوه معكم، بس يكون عندكم ريليشن شيبس معهم. اوكي، نمبر 3 هو وقت بدكم تاخذوا انفستمنت، ما تفكروا اول شيء بالانفستمنت، اول شيء حطوا براسكم بالشغل واشتغلوا. بروف اوف كونسبت، عملتوا بروف اوف كونسبت، بدنا نروح على انفستر. انتبهوا انه الانفستر عم تاخذوا منه مصاري يكون حدا مش بس عم بيعطيكم مصاري، عم بيعطيكم اوسو فاليو حواليها. ورابع وحده، يعني وحدوا ستارت اب كومباني، ما تصدقوا انه شيء هين، بس ما في شيء احلى من هالشغله. انا يعني لي 10 سنين اول شغل طلعت فيه بالجامعه كان بلشت ستارت اب مع عالم من MIT. من وقتها I caught the bug. ما في شيء في حال اعمل شيء ثاني. يعني you are in a position to change the world as long as عارفين حالكم بهالسيتويشن، ورح تقطعوا بمشاكل، بس انه بقى اعرفوا حالكم انه خلي راسكم على البيج فيجن. So start small but think big.
شكرا جزيلا. أمير تركي، في مجموعة أسئلة سئلتها، منها مثلا الاستراتيجية الموحدة لريادة الأعمال ودعم ريادة الأعمال.
أنا أتفق مع المتحدثين السابقين بأنه بالنسبة لريادة الأعمال هذا ما يجب أن يكون شيء مركز. وفي الواقع في المملكة الآن فيه نشاطات، الجامعات لديها برامج وتعطي شهادات في مجال الانتربرنورشيب، عدد من الجامعات، ومثل ما ذكرت المدينة تقدم دورات. فأعتقد هذا موضوع صعب أنه يكون مركز. وبنفس الفكرة إيجاد هيئة لريادة الأعمال أيضا هذا أعتقد أنه خطأ، لأنه في كثير من الجهات مثل وزارة التجارة، مثل وزارة العمل وغيرها، كلها تهتم بهذه الجوانب، فوزارة الصناعة والتجارة طبعا.
بس هل التنسيق بينها مهم؟
الواجب أنه هذه منظومة الدولة تكون enabler أو تهيئ البيئة، ولكن لا نركز العمل في مؤسسة واحدة. لكن أنا أبغى أعلق على بعض الكلام اللي ذكر. المتحدثين جميعهم ذكروا عن أمثلة وركزوا، لكن ما أعتقد أحد منهم يتكلم عن عمل تم إنشاءه في بيئة لا توجد فيها فينشر كابيتال. المملكة لا يوجد فيها شركة واحدة لرأس المال الجريء ما عدا يسمونه إيكويتي، ولكن ستارت اب غير موجود. ليس هناك جهة تستثمر في الأفكار، وهذه كل ما يطلب من رواد الأعمال أنهم يعني كيف يكون فريق وكيف يهتم. المملكة موجود عندها في الواقع. في المملكة مصطلح ما استخدم ولكنه موجود، العصامي. الشخص قال شخص عصامي، هذا هو الانتربرنور. وكثير من العائلات اللي ذكر الأخان عن المملكة، وخصوصا في المنطقة الغربية هناك عائلات فعلا عصامية ونجحت بشكل كبير. هؤلاء انتربرنورز، فعندنا انتربرنور كلتشر، ولكن الفوكس مختلف. هناك اهتمام في التجارة، هناك اهتمام في العقار، ويربحون ويعملون وينجحون. اللي نحتاجه في المملكة إعادة من تغيير الفوكس إلى النوليدج بيست. ولكن وجود الكلتشر، وجود الآليات هذه موجودة، والله الحمد الجميع يعمل وعندهم شركات وناجحين. لكن ما نحتاجه في المملكة التوجه إلى اقتصاد المعرفة.
تشرح لنا يا أمير وش اقتصاد المعرفة؟ يعني
الاقتصاد المبني على المعرفة وليس على الثروات الطبيعية، يعني على الأفكار. وهذا كل ما نتكلم عنه الآن، أنه الانتربرنور هو يأخذ الفكرة ويسعى فيها وينشئ شركة ويستمر بحيث أن الشركة تنجح ويستطيع يوظف ناس. لا شك أنها يسمونها ويلث كرييتر. فالانتربرنورشيب تكون الويلث في المجتمع وتبني الاقتصاد. فهذا اللي نحتاجه. بدون وجود الدعم المالي للشركات المبتدئة لن تنجح هذه الأعمال في المملكة. زميلي ذكر أنه عنده الفكرة بس اضطر أنه يروح للسيليكون فالي، واضطر أنه يروح في أماكن أخرى وير البيئة هذه موجودة والدعم هذا موجود. المملكة غير موجود فيها، وهذا اللي نسعى له. بوجود شركة تقنية، سوف تنشئ شركة تقنية قريبا خلال الأشهر القادمة، فينشر كابيتال، بالتعاون مع أحد الشركات في السيليكون فالي للاستثمار في الشركات المبتدئة. وهذا اللي نحتاجه البلد. لا شك كل هذه الوسائل والخبرات والمنتورشيب وهذه كلها مهمة، راح تكون مجبور أنها تتوفر.
يعني شركة تقنية لو جاكم شاب عنده فكرة مثل فكرة السيد حداد، ممكن تتبناه شركة تقنية؟
نعم، هذا المفروض أن يكون عندنا البيئة. ما هو بس هذا الفند من خلال شركة تقنية، يجب أن القطاع الخاص أيضا ينشأ عدد.
هي شركة حكومية، شركة تقنية
هي شركة حكومية، لكن تتعاون مع القطاع الخاص، وراح تشجع القطاع الخاص الاستثمار في رأس المال الجريء. وإذا صار الاستثمار عندنا في المملكة بدل ما هو في العقار وفي التجارة، الاستثمار اللي فيه ربح سريع وعادي يعني متوفر، وأيضا الاعتماد على الصناعة من البتروكيماويات مبنية على الثروة الطبيعية، هذا شيء طيب، لكن لابد يكون مبني على المعرفة. وبعض الأسئلة اللي ذكرت
باختصار إذا تكرمت يا أمير، لأنه ما بقى عندنا وقت طويل.
أي سؤال عن الاي سي تي نوليدج بيس. ما هو فقط اي سي تي، هو الاي سي تي جزء رئيسي منه، ولكن
اول شيء وش الاي سي تي؟
تقنية المعلومات والاتصالات.
ايوه كده فشرها كويس.
سم
يعني نحتاج، احنا ما عندنا هالمختصرات، نحتاج الشرح بصراحة.
لأنه ذكر الجملة. يعني الاقتصاد المعرفي هو كل وسائل المعرفة بغض النظر عن مجالها. أيضا السؤال كان عن السعودة ودعوة رواد الأعمال من الخارج. هذه فكرة لا شك أنها رائعة ونجحت في تشيلي، ستارت اب تشيلي مثال جيد لاستقطاب رواد الأعمال وإعطائهم فرصة لبناء الشركات. ونسعى في تغيير الأنظمة لأنه يسمح لرواد الأعمال من الخارج أن يأتون إلى المملكة وتكون المملكة بيئة تستقطب هذه الأفكار إلى المملكة، وهنا يكون في توظيف السعوديين ويأهلون السعوديين بحيث أنهم يستطيعون أن يتوظفون في هذه الشركات.
ما عاد عندي وقت.
أنا أعتقد أني غطيت كل النقاط
ما قصرت. قبل أن أنهي هذه الجلسة أود أن أعرض التصويت اللي موجود أمامك حضراتكم اليوم. السؤال المطروح على الشاشة هو: ما هي الرافعة الأهم في عملية تغيير الريادة في إرساء الأعمال في المنطقة؟ الخيار الأول: تخفيض كلفتها وتسريع وتيرتها لتتمكن من إطلاق مؤسسات تجارية صغيرة وتشغيلها التجارة في يوم. الخيار الثاني: تأمين الولوج السهل إلى رأس المال من خلال التمويل الجزئي إلى الحقوق الخاص. والخيار الثالث: خلق وسط بيئي عالمي للريادة في إرساء الأعمال. وابدأوا حضراتكم بالتصويت A أو B أو C. نشوف النتائج. الخيار الأول اللي هو تخفيض الكلفة 38%، بينما تأمين الولوج السهل إلى رأس المال من التمويل الجزئي 28%، و34% خلق وسط بيئي عالمي للريادة في إرساء الأعمال.
May I just respond to one point that was made?
If you can do it within 10 seconds.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
No, the point about starting here where there's no venture capital. When Endeavor started in Brazil and Argentina, there was no venture capital. Anybody who got money gave away 100% of the company. But what happened was we found, I'll just tell a brief story. We found a kid who had grown up on a sheep farm in Patagonia. His name was Wences Casares. He was 23 years old. He was going to create the E-Trade of Latin America. He went to 34 investors. Everyone turned him down. There was no way they were going to invest in this kid with this crazy idea. There wasn't even a functioning stock market system. Endeavor found him. We helped him find a COO. We helped him raise capital. He actually married my assistant, so he's had to get the full service Endeavor. 18 months later, he sold to Banco Santander for $750 million. The next day, Endeavor got calls from all 34 investors who had turned him down, and they said the next time a kid with an idea walks in, we're going to support him. So it takes seeing good examples that you missed is a very big motivator.
شكرا جزيلا. Thank you so much Linda. Thank you James. Thank you Mr. Haddad. Thank you Mr. Turki. شكرا لكم على استماعكم، ونلتقي بعد ربع ساعة بعد استراحة لأداء الصلاة، ثم مع لقاء الشباب مع الأمير خالد الفيصل. فإلى هناك. شكرا لكم.